The Opinion Line on Cork's 96 FM.
Now, I'm looking out the window and it's absolutely miserable here in the city this morning, and pretty much all of the county as well. I was coming back on the train from Dublin yesterday, and the flooding around North Cork, around Charleville and Buttevant, and on up then on the run into Limerick Junction is just... I haven't seen flooding like it, I'd say, in maybe 10 years. And according to the Met people, it's going to get worse in the coming weeks. And if this morning and New Year's Day was anything to go by, we're going to have a very, very wet January. So let's just take ourselves away to sunnier climes, maybe lying on a nice, comfortable, fluffy towel beside a swimming pool and sipping something, even though it's only 12 minutes past 9 in the morning. The weather has been shocking. So we're all dreaming of holidays abroad, sandy beaches, sunshine, maybe a week on the slopes skiing. Eoghan Corry from Air and Travel magazine has been taking a look at the holiday hotspots and new destinations for 2024. A light on a dark morning. Eoghan, good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, Gareth. This is when holidays sell. January, 30% of all the holidays of the year get sold. Aer Lingus sale is up and running. Ryanair has had the first of their flash sales. And we have 53 routes from Cork Airport this year back to record levels, or close to record levels that we haven't seen for many years. So it's a time to think about travel and start getting doing the research.
Yeah, I was driving in this morning and it was miserable, and I'm looking at the studio window and it's still practically sort of that pre-dawn dark cloudy look about it. And it's if you had the time and if you had the cash available, you'd just go straight to Cork Airport with your passport this morning, wouldn't you?
Indeed, and we have all four Canary Islands. It's a while since we had all four Canary Islands direct from Cork. The real holiday options we have in winter for getting to the sun are pretty limited in Ireland. Everybody talked about, Dubai and the Caribbean and places like that. But realistically, if you're going to get in for a short break, maybe 4 days, maybe 7, if you're going to get down, you're looking at Spain isn't warm enough yet. Some of the Greek islands would sort of say we're warm enough. But realistically, you're talking about those 4 key islands, the Canary Islands, 4 hours away, a little bit more than 4 hours, and down and back, where people very familiar. Oddly enough, Gareth, if you look at, I'm a great man for looking at patterns, data, booking patterns, airline routes, all of that. If you look all across Europe, Canary Islands is a huge destination for all of them. The number 1 destination for almost all of them is Gran Canaria. That's our number 2 because we have this love affair with Lanzarote. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is Gran Canaria, a lot of Irish bars, resorts, noisy, boisterous resorts, and also lovely national parks there. And then the third one is Tenerife, with that huge mountain, Mount Tida. People used to think it was the highest mountain in the world before they discovered Everest. And Fuerteventura, which is the nice, quiet, beachy place. They're absolute gems. They're all accessible direct from Cork. As I say, it's been a while since we got that.
Yeah. Las Americas, isn't that Gran Canaria?
That's it, and the Gran Canaria, the sort of the boisterous resorts are down on the south of the island. You can actually, it's about the size of about County Waterford, I think it is in turn. But so you can actually drive, if you hire a car, you can actually get out into the mountains, this beautiful mountainous area. And there are beaches that you have to park the car and walk about 4 miles to get to. Absolutely gorgeous. So it's not all about the party. But if I know Cork people, they're going to go to the party for a few days and then... you'll always find us in the kitchen at parties. I love it. I love the Shakin' Stevens. It's all about the hair, That's where Pink Floyd went wrong. The Rolling Stones and Shakin' Stevens with this mop of hair, and as you do yourself, Gareth, so it's marvellous. Yeah.
Ah, sure, look, this is it. You bring a separate bottle of sunblock for your scalp, and that's a bad sign, really, You don't have that issue, so you don't have to worry.
Yeah, as I say, looking after your hair is not a concept. I don't think I ever remember looking after it. It just keeps growing. I mean, my hairdresser has a contract with a carpet factory somewhere, so that's great.
It's a good sign. Fuerteventura has become so popular with Cork travellers now in the last couple of years. I was only just talking to a couple of people who are heading back out now. As soon as the flights resume, which I think is about mid-February, end of February, will it be very popular this year?
It won't be. It won't even compete with with Lanzarote and Gran Canaria. But realistically, it's a huge option. It helps the other ones to work because people who are out for the quieter time and small children and things like that, it's ideal for them. You look at the numbers going from Ireland to Gran Canaria and to Lanzarote, to the Canaries. You total the numbers going to Greece and Turkey, two of our big holiday destinations. They don't reach what the Ireland does to the Canaries. Part of it is accident. There are, by the way, other holiday options not out of Cork that you can get in winter. Morocco has a Ryanair service and some way have services down there. And there's 2 flights a week to Funchal, Madeira. Madeira, very different kind of island. People think Madeira is going to be the Canaries. It's not. There aren't actually any beaches. You can get a little ferry over to a beautiful island called Porto Santo with a beautiful beach there. But it's a very different sort of product. It all comes back to the Canaries. In wintertime, it's all about the Canaries.
Yeah, just mentioning Madeira, I was actually on Porto Santo, and it's like something. It's probably like the little island that Tom Hanks got washed up on in Castaway. It's just idyllic, isn't it? It's just beautiful.
I would imagine Tom Hanks arriving in Porto Santo would probably cause a panic, a tidal wave sort of a panic. But it is a beautiful spot, and it's because it's separated from Madeira. Madeira is a different demographic, and they have always talked about, we get children here. But the reality is, it's a mountainous sort of area. It's like driving around, like the Ring of Kerry. You have beautiful views, beautiful, famous sort of gardens. And they say they're a little bit, people that go there a little bit older, unkind travel agents say they're the newlywed and the nearly dead, but that's not exactly true. And oddly enough, Tenerife has a small touch of the same thing. It's not the boisterous party up all night thing that you get in Lanzarote or Gran Canaria. And there is a beautiful island off Tenerife, again a ferry, not the long ferry, called La Gomera, where I spent quite a while a few weeks ago and a few years ago, pre-pandemic. And it's a bit like Tenerife would have been 20, 30 years ago, or so they tell me. I'm too young to remember. And it's another great Canaries option. Yeah.
When actually reminded me there of when I was on that beautiful island, Porto Santo, they had this most magnificent health spa centre, and one of the treatments I did was they lay me down into what effectively looks like a kind of it was almost like a casket, and they poured sand into me right up to my neck, so the only thing you could see was my head, and you're naked underneath this, because apparently there's tiny little insects in the sand that nibble away at at your skin, and you emerge looking sort of 10 years younger, apparently.
I saw that movie in the Horror Channel at 2 a.m. But no, there are all sorts of wondrous. It never ceases to astound me what people think of in spa treatments. One of the controversial ones is where they put you into water and these flesh-eating fish come along and nibble your skin and take all the dried skin pieces away. It's controversial from an animal rights point of view, because obviously these fish are going to get overfed at some stage. But you're absolutely right. A wonderful hot stone, sand, anything that. And you know what? Even if it doesn't have all the effects that the very lavish marketing campaigns tell you, even doing it is a great feeling, and doing those exotic massages and exotic sort of treatments that they have abroad. One of my own favourite, now it's very far away, it was in India, was where I had somebody standing on my back and using his feet, using a rope sort of to swing onto me, and sort of bouncing on my back with his feet and trying to get all the fissures out of them and the muscle, all the sporting injuries out of the way. A bit like being caught at the bottom of the scrum at Cork Constitution without all without the stud marks,
Yeah, it actually reminded me of an old newspaper editor I used to work for. Anyway, moving on.
They were moving swiftly along while the learned gentlemen take their notebooks out to see who's going to get mentioned and can launch a lawsuit.
That's it. I know places like Albufeira and Alvora and that along that beautiful stretch of Portugal there. It's not fashionable really from a weather perspective to go there, but there are fantastic bargains to be had if you want to go there at the moment, aren't there?
Too much heat. Stir those onions. Not clockwise. You'll ruin them.
No one knows more about cooking than your dad. But there's only one authority on health insurance, and it's us. For free, straightforward information, visit hia.ie.
That's not how you pour cereal.
A message from the Government of Ireland.
Absolutely. The way the prices will work is that it takes a while for them to rev up to the very high summer levels. And the summer prices in Portugal and south of Spain, which are our favourite playgrounds, they've gone up by about 20% post-pandemic. But you've got to remember that different markets, and it's all about the markets that move, different markets move at different paces. We've got a very good love affair with the Algarve. Oddly enough, and it's something I never thought I'd see happen, the number of Irish going to the Algarve in 2023 was higher than the number of people going to the Algarve from Germany when you consider the size and the population of Germany. One of the advantages we have is St. Patrick's Day. We have a bank holiday when nobody else has. It's a lovely time of the year because the sun is just about revving up. You get very good prices around then. June is a hidden weapon for the Irish market as well, because unless your poor unfortunate offspring are doing exams, you will be off early in June, and the British, who transport an awful lot of people to the same sort of places we go, aren't off till July, sometimes the second week in July. So we have anywhere that gives us a little advantage of the school holidays. That's important in Spain, that's important in the Algarve, in Portugal. It's also important in France with those camping holidays, which are really important. As you know, ferry services in Cork have a long tradition, and it's a great way to go away with teenagers, especially when their demands moved and the demands move on. It's a fantastic place to bring a family that's spread over several, and if you're going by ferry, then you can get more than 2 children, because the way the international travel industry treats you, if you have a third child, you're up there with terrorists, drug dealers, and people smugglers among the unwanted. You know, anyone with a third child has serious difficulty navigating accommodation and even the flights.
Yeah, I hear they're in Alicante at the moment, so it's probably a quiet time around the city. Short trips to New York are all the rage too out of Dublin at the moment, aren't they?
New York's a big one for us, and I'll tell you why. We've got a new service. We don't often get new services to New York, but we have a new service to New York now from JetBlue. They're a low-cost airline, not in the Ryanair sense, because they have a business class and a premium economy class, and they're flying Boston and New York seasonal only for the summer. That has had a knock-on effect. Aer Lingus' sale, I just started the item by saying Aer Lingus had a sale. It was €179, Garrett, one way to New York. I haven't seen that sort of price since just after the global financial recession. And we have the services to JFK from Delta, Aer Lingus, and now JetBlue are also, you've got to remember that Newark, in the other side, has got the United and also Aer Lingus. And really important, Shannon Airport has got a lot of competition on the New York route this year, because Delta are returning to JFK in the summer, Aer Lingus fly JFK, and United fly to Newark. So anywhere you've got more than 2 operators on a route, it's very, very good for your prices. And we're very familiar with New York. We treat New York like, as the old saying goes, the parish next to Castletownbere on the or Allihies as you're going west. And we are very familiar with it, because everyone over there is at least a third cousin.
Yeah. And I mean, when you consider that, like, for prices like that, €175 one way, and you still got change out of 400, but on your return trip. It's amazing.
It's difficult to get those prices. They tend to be sort of a Wednesday in March or whatever, and when you get them in one direction, it's difficult to get to the other. But you will get out and back for less than your 1,000. And I also notice that Toronto is hugely overserved. With 4 carriers on the Toronto route. So you got anywhere you've got more than one carrier, it's worth a look. And there's 3 new American routes out of Dublin this year. Denver, Colorado, terrific state, beautiful, one of the most beautiful states, huge favourite of mine. That's starting in June, I think it is, from Aer Lingus, or the end of May. And Minneapolis, which Aer Lingus had before, they're returning. And then without any publicity whatsoever, and I haven't seen a line written about it in any newspaper or heard anything on any station apart from my own when I'm talking, is Minneapolis have also got a new Delta service, because United Aer Lingus get all the publicity, but when you've got two people flying Minneapolis St. Paul, a huge Irish presence, it's the headquarters of the Irish American Cultural Institution. It's on gateway to the Great Lakes, in a beautiful part of America. That's new, with two carriers from nowhere over the summer. People who have listened to me before will have heard me say that it takes about a year for an airline to make money on the road. So in that time is when the passengers can play, because they get the benefit of lower prices, almost promotional fares, almost loss leaders on a new route. And there are 4 or 5 new routes out of Cork as well. We're really worth looking at what Ryanair are doing out of Cork this summer. They've been expanding bit by bit, and we had we've already had our first of the new Cork routes open just before Christmas, Leon, with Aer Lingus, and we have three new routes from Ryanair, Zadar in Croatia, Rhodes in the Greek island, and the other one is a more business route. It's Charleroi to Brussels, and that'll be starting in March. It's a Brussels route for directly from Cork.
Yeah, there's an amazing amount of information, but when you look at the destinations, they're well worth trying to get to. One final question.
53 routes. We're back, when we think, even before pandemic, we only had about 40, so it's great to see Cork. And the main thing is now, because we've seen Cork routes come and go, we saw Cork routes open and they not being supported enough by local people. It's really important that the routes be supported.
Yeah, they've had a great Christmas, that's for sure, and hopefully it'll continue on this year. Just for those a little more adventurous, I was reading a lot over the last few weeks on locations in South America, and I was actually watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid yesterday afternoon, and they headed to Bolivia. It wasn't quite for a holiday, obviously, but what are the popular locations in places like Central and South America?
Okay, this is somewhere that came from nowhere, and it only came in Ireland. Costa Rica.
Oh,
and yeah. I don't know how it happened. If we were all, every year, we all pat ourselves on the back and say, oh, how knowledgeable we are, oh, we're great. And particularly the influencers, the ones that take a picture of themselves with a gin and tonic at the pool. But those guys, they're all saying, oh, I can boost your holiday market. Costa Rica really was not something in January 2023 I'd have talked about at all. And the bookings went through the roof. And I think that it was the fares. I think it was the connections. The way the Air Canada connection in particular through Toronto worked out, there was very, very good fares on the market, in the Irish market. And the Costa Rica bookings were, they were racing, not exactly, Lanzarote isn't going to have to close down anytime soon, but we were putting it from number 53 up to number 20 sort of stuff. And that's very interesting. That was very, my big disappointment, I expected, and I still expect in 2025, a direct flight to South America from Ireland. We don't have any, and I'm pretty sure that Sao Paulo, because of the number of Brazilians, anyone who's been to Dublin would know the beautiful sound of that Portuguese accent in the city of all that Brazilian community. Because they know our big Brazilian community, we are going to get a direct Brazil route. It didn't happen in 2024. I'd be looking forward to getting it in 2025. And the Portuguese spoken by people from Portugal is very harsh by comparison with the way the Brazilians, like an Italian, a sing-song accent, and it's gorgeous to hear. So it's great to see that community in Dublin, and it's great to see the possibility of a direct flight. My favourite, everyone says about Machu Picchu, Peru, you've got to do it. It's one of those things you go, take your picture and move on. It's a big hike up the mountains of altitude, and you get that sense of having achieved something by doing it. But my favourite South American country by a mile is Colombia. Wow. It's got the highest number of birds in different bird species in the world, where we won't dwell on the bird watching in Colombia controversy that was about 20 years ago, but it is genuine that Colombia, everywhere you go, there's this amazing bird song. And while Cartagena is sort of the place people go, particularly if they've been on a Caribbean cruise, if you go inland to the lush rainforest, to swim in water, in a little mountain stream that's going to end up in the Amazon. It's just magnificent. And then go over a mountain and the water is all pouring into the Atlantic, and the Pacific coast in Colombia is gorgeous. My favourite of this. I'm very difficult to say a favourite because I fall in love very easily. Cœur de artichoke is what the French call it when you keep falling in love as each outer leaf falls off it. But I do love Colombia. Wow.
You've painted a beautiful picture. Just one quick question. If you had to pick one place in the entire world that you absolutely adore, that, if suddenly it was announced that everybody needs to get out of Ireland as soon as possible, where would you head to?
Not to live, but I love Ireland above everywhere else. I would never live anywhere else. But I do love Africa. It's something that makes my heart beat faster. Somewhere like Malawi or Namibia. They're absolutely gorgeous countries. And then the wildlife experience. It's fragile environment. I don't think we'll be doing it forever. I think in 10, 15 years' time they'll start shutting it down. It's something to do at the moment. But oddly enough, I do love Ireland, and the places that I love when I go around the world that I really feel at home with are the ones that remind me closely of Ireland, parts of New Zealand, parts of Tasmania, Oregon and the United States, and somewhere daft that nobody in their right mind would ever go is the Faroe Islands, halfway between Norway and Iceland, cold, wet, foggy, battered by the Atlantic, and I adore it there.
Right. Fantastic. Eoghan, always a joy to talk to you. Happy New Year to you.
Always a great pleasure. Happy New Year to all your listeners, Gareth.
Thank you very much. That's Eoghan Corry.